Okay, so welcome. I'll just get the controls going. Hi, I'm Dr. Famous. I will be presenting this presentation on maximizing and improving and increasing your energy. It's a topic near and dear to my heart. I went through a period in my life where I had chronic fatigue, and I'm so happy to be on the other side of that. The intention of this presentation is to catch those who haven't made it to chronic fatigue yet, which is a much more serious condition, and hope that we can just help everyone to increase their energy levels and live life to the fullest, because that's what life is about. I want you to do one thing, if you can. Some of you may be at work, I don't know, or some of you may have the opportunity to grab a pen and paper and just take a minute and check in. And on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is actually your optimal, most vital energy that you can actually imagine, give us a rating, or you can type it into the chat if you like, but at least check in for yourself and write down what you think your energy levels are on a scale of 1 to 10. And from that, we'll be able to determine whether you need some improvements or not, or you're just listening to me for fun, or whether you can truly benefit from some of the tips and tricks, health improvements that we can make from the tips in our presentation today. So take a moment, and if you'd like to share on the chat, you can. I'll give everybody 1 minute to do that. And when you do give yourself that rating, try to suss out why you gave yourself that rating. Like, if you got a low rating, try to figure out, well, why am I not got it? What's stuck in my energy, maybe? Okay, so I'll share that everybody's in the 5 to 6 range right now. Those who may have shared, and I won't call names, we're in the 5 to 6 range, and truthfully, I feel like a lot of people maybe they're in that mid-range, where we know that there's this next level that we can achieve when it comes to our energy, because we get through our days and we're like, man, I wish I had more energy too, and you can finish that sentence, right? And that's what I hope to achieve today, to give you some valid additions to your health knowledge that can actually improve on your energy. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit, like very shortly, about chronic fatigue at the end, because that is something that actually requires a little bit more attention. And I'll just get us moving on. So why maximize your energy? So the truth is, this is very personal as well. It is kind of an endless list for any one of us. And the reality is, with better energy, you can have better focus, you can maximize your potential at whatever it is your task is, whether it be at work or at home, whether it be something creative. You have that extra energy to spend time with your friends and family, or start those new hobbies that you've been trying to get around to. The question of what you can do with more energy is very personal, and for each of us, our list will be different. And I want you to keep that list in the back of your mind as we go through these things, because having a goal for more energy outside of just the energy itself, rather the things that having more energy can allow you to do, or the people it'll allow you to spend time with, is really important. Okay, and I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as we go. So anyone who knows me is going to think this slide is biased, because I say everything has to do with nutrition, right? But the reality is, I think there's some valid science to back me up on this. When it comes to nutrition, or energy rather, nutrition is one of the biggest things you can do to make a change in how you feel. It's all about what fuel is in your tank. And so we've learned, and I'm very familiar with this idea that food gives us energy, and to an extent that is correct. But what we normally think of as the foods that give us energy are these high glycemic foods, right? The starchy foods that actually give you this burst of energy. And whilst that's true, you'll get a short-term boost of energy if you had something like a starchy vegetable or like pasta, or if you had rice, or even a sugary drink. There is a temporary boost in your energy, but long term, that is not entirely the case. And long term, and that's what we're interested in, this maximizing our energy over time, we're better off actually with lower glycemic, which are foods that actually are going to minimally boost your blood sugar levels, but provide nutrient density and energy in a different form. Okay, so that whole idea of I'm going to have to eat my carbs to get more energy is not entirely true. And your body actually prefers lower glycemic, high nutrient density foods. And when I say nutrient dense foods, I mean foods that would provide you with more minerals and vitamins and nutrients, because those are the true workers that provide our cells with everything they require to make energy. Okay, so examples of that would be something like hold on, let's see, sorry about that. So it'll be foods such as beans and nuts, seeds. These foods are actually going to give you lots of nutrients to kind of sustain you with the micronutrients your cells need to actually do that work of creating energy. Okay, let's see if we can get to the next slide. Okay, there we go. So boosting metabolism, it sounds nice, right? Something like the fountain of youth, but it's true. Metabolism, and we use that word so randomly, but I'll tell you, it actually means that this is how, it's the force that converts our food into energy, into a form of energy that our bodies actually can use. So we can't exactly use sugar straight up to create energy. Our cells actually have to have this conversion take place so that it can make ATP, which is that source of energy for our cells. To create optimal metabolism, you actually need, again, food that is going to provide you with lots of vitamins and minerals. And we nickname these foods superfoods, okay? And they're not as like caked out as we like to think. They're actually some of the foods that could make its way into our diet quite easily, such as cinnamon, right? What does it take to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon? So cinnamon, coconut oil, berries, these foods are actually going to, matcha green tea and almonds are actually some of most people's favorites, right? Because you get a tiny caffeine boost from green tea, but it has so much antioxidants, and your body likes that because it helps it to do its work of the daily maintenance and providing energy for your cells a lot better. The other thing besides food that can actually boost your metabolism, besides those superfoods, oh, and I left out dark chocolate, sorry. I should never, right? It's so important. The other thing that can boost your metabolism, as you know, would be an increase in physical movement. And so we're going to head actually a little bit more deeper into physical activity now. So your fitness level and improving your fitness level can really help to improve your energy. But I don't want people to confuse that with heading out to boot camp like 4 times out of the week, you know, doing these super intense, super long, and super hard workouts. Because truthfully, the things that actually provide us with this sustained level of calm energy are actually exercises such as Tai Chi and yoga, gentle walking, and of course, circuit training at a lower intensity level. So those exercises are intense enough, just enough to give you a little bit of endorphins that can actually boost your metabolism, boost your fitness, but also have a long-term effect on your energy. And what we find, and that's something that I'll explain, I guess, later when we do something more detailed on chronic fatigue, is that if you're already fatigued, and we're past low energy, we are fatigued, then high intensity exercise actually does not serve you. And so it's really important to have your functional medicine physician assess where you are as far as energy levels and in fatigue, so that we can determine what your level of intensity of exercise should be. Okay. Whoops. So, energy and mental health. Now, I want you to picture a day where you're actually slumping around because somebody pissed you off and your mood's a little bit low. Or let's say your kid took her or his first trip to Europe alone, and you spent the entire day worrying until they got on the other side of the world with that phone call or that WhatsApp text to say, you know, Mom, I made it. Or you are caring for someone's health and it really has you a little bit depressed. Those days, if you just picture them, just speaking about it, can make us feel a little bit low in energy. And that's because our mental health is actually directly related to our energy levels. And different types of mental states can actually be very draining. And I know it's obvious, but a lot of times we spend our days stressed and worried, and we wonder why we have no energy left at the end of the day. And so I want you to think of the electricity in your home, right? If let's imagine everyone's in their own room, all the lights are on, and somebody decided, hey, let's have a movie night. Okay, so everyone's gonna head into the living room. If they left all their lights on in all the other bedrooms, our house would just be draining electricity and Belko would be applauding us. However, if we all headed into the living room and we shut off all the lights, we have focused energy drainage. We know where all the energy is being drained from. It's in the living room, but everyone's there benefiting. And the reality is that there is something you can do for your mental health that helps you to focus your energy similarly in your body, and that is meditation. Just being aware of where your energy is going actually is a really big step. Starting to keep maybe an energy journal and figuring out, well, what kind of moods I go through on a daily basis that determine how I feel energetically. So awareness is a big deal, but meditation helps us to learn how to direct that energy. And there we go. What I mentioned was that meditation can help focus you, but that's not something that everyone knows how to do. And it can be very difficult, especially if you have no previous experience, to really reap the benefits of meditation. So my number one tip when it comes to meditation is to start really small. There are little 1 to 5 minute meditation videos on YouTube, or there are awesome apps such as Headspace, where you can actually log in and do both guided meditation, just quiet meditation. Just learning to focus your energy and your mind space and going within can actually benefit you and improve your awareness until you build up that stamina to do something a little bit longer. We always recommend guided meditations, and you can just YouTube anyone because everyone's going to be different. The voice of the person is going to affect you differently than it would affect me. And it's really important to try a few before you quit, that's for sure. Start small and then work your way up to a meditation practice that actually supports your energy levels, okay? So this is a big topic, avoiding stimulants, and let's go natural with that. So the reality is that people who experience low energy, the first thing they do is go for a stimulant like caffeine or alcohol or a drink such as Red Bull or Monster or whatever. These combinations of stimulants actually don't give us real energy. What they do is affect different chemical centers and make us have this, high strung focused energy. However, it can actually deplete your cells and the cells that need to produce energy even further. So what we tend to recommend is that when you're already energy depleted, to avoid stimulants at least for a while until you can get your energy levels up. And we have nothing against coffee. We recognize that it's a wonderful antioxidant drink. However, if you are already drained and you're adding a stimulant and really pushing yourself past what your cells are actually capable of providing in energy, then you're really depleting your energy even further. So some natural stimulants are actually, you've heard them before, things such as ginseng, the B vitamins, and we'll actually talk a little bit later about B vitamins just in detail. chlorophyll, which is the green in plants. So you can actually take a chlorophyll supplement, or you can just up your green leafy vegetables in your diet. Simple stuff like coconut oil is another way that you can actually stimulate your energy in a low, not at a high intensity level, but at a very moderately sustained level. Okay, these are foods that actually don't give you a buzz, but add to your energy making capacity. Okay. Now, anyone who knows me for the next slide, they're going to say I'm being biased again, but water, it's like the simplest thing you can do. It's just about putting a bottle or glass to your mouth and getting some in, right? So many of us neglect to fuel our bodies, not just in food, but also in water. Dehydration is such a serious event for our bodies that it actually drains us. I always tell people when I'm introducing them to the concept of improving their water intake is to think of ourselves, well, because all we are is a bunch of cells really well coordinated for different tasks. But at our basic unit, we are one cell, right? And each cell, if you think of it as a fluid-filled sac, the reality is for it to work really well, we need to keep it well hydrated. And it's the difference between a grape and a raisin, right? We don't want our cells looking and feeling like a raisin, and the only way to keep it plump like a grape is to make sure you're hydrated. So we can become drained and very fatigued if our bodies don't have enough water. And truthfully, you can, just by increasing your water, ward off headaches, and that whole improve your metabolism and have clearer skin on the way. All these little things that are so very much intertwined to a simple thing like hydration. Those little headaches that you get when you are dehydrated and that actually happen around the same time that you feel energy depleted, it's because your blood volume has become less. Your heart has to do so much work to pump that blood around the body, and also your blood vessels are constricted, and then there you have it. Headache, dehydration headache, low energy because of the dehydration headache, and it all could have been avoided if we just hydrated really well. We normally recommend that most people do somewhere between 60 and 90 ounces per day. And if you don't have a habit already, just create one. Start today, start low and grow, and you'll make it to 60 to 90 ounces quite easily. It's easier in the summer, so you need to create that habit now, because in the winter you actually still do need your hydration. And if you have the habit already now while you're actually thirsty, then it'll be a little bit easier in the winter. Okay, do what you love. So that's fun, because Oprah Winfrey said, and let me find the quote, "Passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you." So if there is that burning desire, that thing that you want to do, that you love to do, use it as a goal to actually try to improve your energy. Most people, actually, they've done studies to show that when you engage in activities that you really do love or are passionate about, you actually automatically stimulate and increase your energy levels. And so find ways to kind of weave those things that you do love into your day, into your week, so that you can naturally just get that passion energy, okay? That's that vitality that burns within, and you have to make sure you're making time for doing what you love. Okay, now some of us may or may not like the next slide, but the studies show that early risers, they end up having an extra boost of energy throughout the day, right? So what that means is early risers, like the reality is, early risers carve out a little bit more. Who says I need a little bit more time each day, right? We kind of can all say that. But those who get up early, they carve a little bit extra time out of their day to really start to focus on almost all of the things that we listed before. So if you get up a little bit earlier, you tend to be able to have time for a meditation practice, or even go out for a walk, or maybe make a better lunch, or have a full breakfast because you're not rushing. So getting up early it kind of carves out a time to do all of the health habits that would improve your energy. But also getting, especially when you get up kind of with the sun, you create this, you begin to create a circadian rhythm that actually would help you to sleep better on the other end of the day. Early risers tend to be people who go to bed early, and they tend to benefit because now they're getting a better sleep, and it's a wonderful cycle, not a vicious cycle, okay? That said, this one's really important. So reducing your screen time, and if it was like 20 years ago, this wouldn't be in my slide presentation, but we are all stuck on our screens. And when it comes to bedtime and early rising, the thing about our screens is that they're draining our energy in the daytime. So there's this habit of people, they wake up, they grab their phone, they check their emails, they check their WhatsApp texts, and what you've done is stolen time that you could have spent meditating, focusing in on you, doing your gratitude journal, right? You have to find the resistance to keep that phone away, to keep the tablet away, to shut off the TV until you've made time for yourself. It's just like focusing or refocusing that energy. Our screens can steal our time in that way because we're just being distracted and moved away from ourselves, even though it feels like we're checking in on us. We really aren't. We're checking in on all the things that may even cause us stress throughout the day. So by limiting or reducing your screen time, especially early in the morning and late at night, you actually can truly improve your energy levels. I mentioned the morning and how that works, but let me just say in the evening, they actually recommend that you turn off your screen 2 hours before bedtime. And that's because of the blue light that can be emitted from your screens, but also because some of us are savvy, right? We have our flock screen on our laptop so we can stay up late, and we wear our blue light blocking lenses. But the other side of that is that whatever's on your device can be very stimulating, get your stress levels up, get you excited or whatever, and you're not in that down frame tone to get to bed with a calm, kind of restful, peaceful feeling. So we're going to move on to the daylight hours. And this is a big one, spending time in the sun. And what is it really about? Two things. Mood, which is a big thing tied to the sun. And anyone who's lived in, say, a North American country where the light becomes, less and less in the winter, and it can get pretty doom and gloom in some places where you don't see very much sun and it's kind of gray, and you hear of things like seasonal affective disorder. So the sun really does just outright brighten our mood. It has a lot to do with our neurochemicals of our brain and the melatonin that we make, which actually is our sleep hormone. So having time in the sun improves your mood, and it of course alternatively improves your sleep because of it creates that circadian rhythm. But one of the biggest things we need to recognize about the sun, it's one of our very few sources of vitamin D outside of a supplement, because food sources of vitamin D are kind of tough to come by in large amounts, and therefore we're actually very reliant on being outside in the sunlight, of course during the safe hours, but at least 15 minutes of sunlight where you're actually able to get exposure, convert your vitamin D at the skin level so that you can use that vitamin D, because it plays a huge role into our mood and our energy. Okay, so yes, that you can use a supplement, of course, but it's always best to make sure that we're having some naturally derived forms of vitamin D. Okay. So I promised you we'll get to sleep because with the sun and spending time in the day, it actually promotes a better sleep. So our circadian rhythm really is tied to this sun cycle, right? If we got up with the sun and we went down with the sun, we'd actually have a better sleep. Most people need, so sleep is essential. I feel like I don't have to tell you that. But most people need around 7 to 9 hours of sleep, right? There is a little wiggle room, but it's been shown that 7 to 9 are really optimal. And I know everybody's like, I can live off 4. I can live off 6. You can live, but you may not be optimal. You may not be at your optimal energy, and you may be robbing yourself of some later years right down the end that we can't account for until we get there. And so 7 to 9 hours for optimal health is really integral. But also the time that you go to sleep is really important. And so majority of what the studies say is that we should be aiming for bed around 10. And the research really supports that. If you're rising with the sun, you may find that you can even go to bed before 10, but anything after 10 and you're robbing yourself of a really good sleep hormone cycle, and that's not cool, because our sleep hormones also one of the biggest antioxidants that our bodies make. Having an sleep routine is actually really helpful, because there are many of us who cannot sleep very well, and it's also because we have terrible sleep routines. So most people don't even know what a sleep routine is, and I'll quickly just describe to you. It's whatever you're doing up until bedtime, okay? And these things, we think, especially us women, we race around the kitchen, we wash up the dishes, we do everything for everybody, and then eventually we just want to get a shower and get to bed, and we think that's going to work, and then we lay in bed like this, spun. Maybe I should fold the clothes because I kind of don't feel sleepy, right? That's an issue, because we need to sleep. But what's causing that like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed feeling at 10 o'clock at night is the fact that we didn't create a sleep routine to promote sleep, right? Our body does really well with cues. And the sun actually used to be our biggest cue. If it was like a few hundred years ago, and there weren't as many lights as there are today, when the sun went up, we get all of our work done, and when the sun goes down, we'll kind of pack up, head nearby the fire, do what we can by firelight, and then head to bed. But of course, we can have, noonday light at any time of the day, and we have to really incorporate better lighting into our sleep routine. So just dimming the light as the sun goes down, dimming the lights in your home, having a routine that involves shutting down those screens 2 hours before bedtime, a relaxing bath, maybe even using some essential oils or in the diffuser or in your bath or on your pillow, a meditation practice to really help calm down all those I gotta get to lists, or maybe even write a list, because sometimes you just need to get it off your mind onto paper so that you can go to bed and say, okay, I won't forget that list. It'll be there for me when I wake up tomorrow. Okay, so having a sleep routine really can promote a better rest, and therefore a better day, and therefore higher energy levels. So there's one thing that I promised that we would mention, and it's chronic fatigue. And I bring it up on the sleep slide because people with chronic fatigue actually have this really typical sleep cycle, or the energy levels that dip and rise throughout the day. So even after 8 hours of sleep, someone may wake up feeling like they need a crane to get them out of bed. And then they get going, maybe with a cup of coffee, and that person may make it through their day, push, but at 2 o'clock, they start to dip. They have this huge dip, and then they make themselves do it, right? Because they got to pick up the kids. They knocked off from work. They get a boost from getting out of work, pick up the kids, get them home, cook dinner, and you're on a little bit of an adrenaline rush at this point. And maybe you can make it to 8 o'clock, and you just feel like you want to crash. At 8 o'clock, if you do happen to crash, but then you wake back up at like 12, and you feel like, oh, that was the best sleep ever, and you feel like Superwoman or Superman, and you can just get up and you can wash the dishes, or that you didn't do because you went to sleep at 8 o'clock, or you can fold all the clothes, or you can get some work done so that your work day will be a little bit lighter tomorrow. Now, that little cycle that I described, or that schedule of events or feeling of energy throughout the day, actually perfectly describes someone who has chronic fatigue. And so I really hope that if any of you are experiencing chronic fatigue, that that you'll reach out to your physician or functional medicine physician, or us here at Ocean Rock Wellness, so that we can help to get you on a better path, because that's an issue that actually involves your adrenal glands and stress, and it's a little bit deeper than just in boosting your energy levels, okay? Let's change slides. So I promised that we'll get to the B vitamins in a little bit more detail. let's see. So we understand that food provides us with energy, right? And we described that calories, carbs, fats, and proteins, they provide us with the baseline of energy, so that our cells can produce the energy in the form that we need it to function. Well, the thing that helps our bodies convert food energy into ATP, which is that form that our cells use, is actually lots of vitamins and minerals. There are huge chain and chemical reactions that require B vitamins. If you were to look at a chart, and I wish I would have put one in here for you, you would see that this cycle of producing energy has so many areas where the B vitamins are involved, that you just cannot be devoid of them. So if you haven't had that level checked, your B vitamin levels checked, that could be one of the reasons why you may be having some low energy levels. You can get B12, which is the big one. We normally recommend B complexes because if you're low on one, you tend to be low on many of the others. But you can get those B vitamins through your foods. But when you're in a state of chronic low energy levels or high stress, you end up utilizing your B vitamins much more. And so B12 is one of the major ones that you utilize when you are stressed and having low energy. Okay, sorry. Okay, so what we should talk about is how to incorporate this into a busy schedule, right? The reality is I said a lot of things, right? There are lots of tips that we went through. There are lots of things to incorporate, some of which can actually take weeks to months to actually become, like, especially a sleep routine. When we're in a lot of bad habits, sometimes when it comes to sleep, it can take weeks to months to reverse some of those. And what I encourage you to do is to break it down into small, achievable daily tasks, right? So let's think on that entire list that we spoke about. What was the simplest thing we can incorporate? Water. Hello. Right? That was easy. Let's take each tip and week by week determine how we can incorporate that one. And when you master that one, maybe we can, with our water, get a B vitamin in at breakfast time. And speaking of breakfast, maybe we can choose a higher protein, higher antioxidant rich breakfast, right? So like a protein smoothie or eggs with veggies. Each tip that we discussed, just, you don't have to feel overwhelmed and incorporate it all at once, but really use it as a guideline to create a daily task or weekly task that you want to add to your life to improve your energy. So I read a book by Brendan Burchard called High Performance Habits. And in that book, he speaks about how high performers make massive change. And one of the biggest things you can do, and it sounds like it's tough, but it's not, is to improve your physical activity. So whilst I think it's going to be water, that's the easiest thing you can do, the thing that's going to have the most far-reaching effects on all of the other tips will be exercise. So if you start with exercise, a gentle walk, a yoga class, anything that you enjoy, that way you'll be incorporating 2 tips, right, to do something you love, plus get some physical activity. You actually really may be on your way to improving your energy. Being aware is one of the biggest things you can do starting today. We went through a few things that you can start identifying in your day that, man, maybe I could drink a little bit more water. Maybe I could get to bed by 10. Maybe I could wake up a half hour earlier to carve out some me time and some health habit time. Just having those thoughts and being aware and starting to focus your energy on how you can improve your energy, you'll already find that your energy levels improve just from the sheer happiness, because we also said that improving your mood will increase your energy. You will start to reap the benefits a lot sooner. So I kind of sped through because I really wanted to stick to our time frame, but I also wanted to ask if anyone had questions or how we can expand on these tips. So before I kind of end up, I'm going to open up to questions, which I normally don't get to do, but we finished in just enough time that I could. And to all of the others who joined us while I was chatting away, welcome. I'm happy that you were able to make it, even though it's like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. Welcome, and I hope you enjoyed our presentation. For anyone who missed it, I am totally going to save this and put it up on YouTube, and we'll send it to you so you can listen at another time if you missed the beginning. But I'm going to open up for any questions. So I did get a few messages about that is so me, and I know exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about that moment I described, chronic fatigue. We really encourage you to just start somewhere. All of these energy tips will help to improve chronic fatigue. Choose one at a time and work on it. For those of you who aren't in that phase of chronic fatigue and you're just attempting to improve your energy levels, you will have the quickest results just by incorporating any of the above. Okay, it doesn't seem like we have tons of questions, so I will just give you guys a minute or so. But thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to ask how everyone feels right now, because I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but I want you to recognize that everything I mentioned really is a simple task that you can just choose one and add it in. Hold on, let's see. I feel like, okay, so the questions are coming in. I'm sorry. Here they are. So I couldn't see them before. So someone said that they take B vitamins, but they don't feel that energy level. So I actually should expand on B vitamins for a little bit, or any vitamin. It's really important to have a high quality vitamin. Now, that may not be your reason, because when it comes to chronic fatigue, it's really important to recognize that just slapping vitamins on that is not going to fix it. And we normally use a range of vitamins and minerals, as well as some adaptogenic herbs for chronic fatigue. But if you are taking B vitamins and you haven't noticed a difference, you may want to check your source. So we highly recommend medical grade quality supplements. These are going to be from medical laboratories that have had their products third-party tested for quality and assurance, and that way you can be sure you're not having fillers and you're actually getting the amount of vitamin B or B complex that you are attempting to get. Yes, there are some brands such as Thorne that you can actually find at your pharmacies, but if not, most medical practitioners such as us here at Ocean Rock, we have those medical quality supplements that you can be sure you're getting the actual supplement in the amounts that are listed, okay? So when it comes to B vitamins, you want to make sure that you're having a good quality. The other question was the change in color of urine when they did take a B vitamin. Now, most people actually experience a very fluorescent color, and that's quite normal. Someone also mentioned a cloudy urine color. It just depends, and I feel like we'd have to investigate a little bit further to determine if that truly was the B vitamin, or was it coincidental with an infection or anything like that. And the other thing was B12 exact. So yes, B12 is very specific, but most people can benefit from a B complex, which involves all of the other B vitamins, such as B6, folate, pentholate. There was a person who asked about food intake and B vitamins, and what that looks like is whether or not your intake of green leafy vegetables is high. Spinach is one of the green leafy vegetables that has the highest amount of folate, and folate is one of the forms of B vitamins that we actually really utilize. I don't know of using aloe actually as a way to boost B complex intake, but I do not knock that is possible. And I had one more question that was, we mentioned winding down 2 hours before bedtime. Can I expand? So if bedtime is 10, we're aiming for a wind down, at least shutting down the devices and screens such as televisions, iPads, iPhones at 2 hours prior. It doesn't mean that means you're headed to bed at 2 hours prior, but it does mean that the lights are dim, that the screens are off, and that you're attempting to do your sleep routine that I walked you through. You're going to spend those 2 hours prior to bedtime sending cues to our brain that it's bedtime. So it's as simple as going to bed in a suit versus going to bed in your pajamas. You can't fool your brain. If you went to bed in your suit, unless you have chronic fatigue, if you went to bed in a suit, your brain would be like, lady, what are we lying here for? It's not sleep time. It's time to go to work. And so you want to send the right cues. You want to put on your favorite PJs, your good sleeping PJs. You want to brush your teeth and use those lavender essential oils, because they all send a cue to the brain that it's getting closer to bedtime. Oh, the lights are down. It's getting closer to bedtime. Oh, she put on her favorite pajamas. There must be sleep time. And we actually thrive off those cues. And that's why it's important to create a bedtime routine. It's also the reason why it takes so long for it to become or take effect. It's because you have to create that habit of a sleep routine. Okay, I will give us a chance to ask any other questions, and then I will close up. Just because we end our meeting doesn't mean that you can't ask questions. We always are open to answering questions related to our presentations via Facebook message. So you can just Facebook message us, and we will do our very best to send you an answer within a timely fashion. Okay, I thank you all so much for joining. So we are done, but you are not done. You are just getting started. Okay, that's my message to you, to take this entire presentation and determining which of those are going to be your tasks for this week. Oh, thank you for your kind remarks, Miss Elka. I'm really happy that you joined us. And thank you all for being here. Warm hugs to you all. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on our next web presentation. Take care. Thank you, Khadija. Bye-bye.